Lucius and Flavia were a happy couple who lived in a small farm near the city of Praeneste. They had everything they needed: a cozy house, a fertile land, and a loving relationship. The only thing they lacked was a child. They had been married for 10 years, but no matter how much they prayed and tried, they could not conceive a son or a daughter. They decided to seek the help of Fortuna, the goddess of fertility and luck, who had a famous temple and oracle in Praeneste. They saved enough money to make the journey and to offer a sacrifice to the goddess. They hoped that she would hear their plea and grant them their wish. They arrived at the temple on a sunny day and joined the crowd of pilgrims who came to consult the oracle. They waited patiently for their turn until a priestess approached them and asked them to follow her. She led them to a dark chamber where a large wheel was spinning. The wheel had different symbols and words on it, representing the various aspects of Fortuna's power. The priestess told them to ask their question and then spin the wheel. She said that the goddess would answer them through the wheel, and that they should accept her will, whatever it might be. Lucius and Flavia looked at each other nervously, and then spoke in unison. "O Fortuna, goddess of fertility and luck, we beg you to bless us with a child. We have been faithful and devoted to you, and we have nothing more to desire than a son or a daughter to love and cherish. Please hear our prayer and grant us this favor." They reached out and spun the wheel with all their strength. The wheel turned faster and faster, making a loud noise. Lucius and Flavia watched anxiously as the wheel slowed down and stopped. They looked at the symbol that faced them and gasped. It was a cornucopia, the horn of plenty, the sign of abundance and prosperity. The priestess smiled and said, "Congratulations, you have received the most favorable answer from the goddess. She has granted you not one, but many children. You will have twins, triplets, quadruplets, and more. You will have so many children that you will not be able to count them. You will be the happiest and the richest parents in the world. Praise Fortuna, for she is generous and bountiful." Lucius and Flavia were stunned. They did not know whether to be overjoyed or terrified. They thanked the priestess and the goddess and left the temple. They returned to their farm and waited for the goddess's promise to come true. 9 months later, Flavia gave birth to a healthy pair of twins, a boy and a girl. Lucius and Flavia were delighted and named them Felix and Felicia, meaning lucky. They thought that the goddess had fulfilled her word and that they would have no more children. But they were wrong. A year later, Flavia gave birth to triplets, 2 boys and a girl. They named them Fortunatus, Fortunata, and Fortunio, meaning fortunate. They were surprised and overwhelmed, but they still loved their children and thanked the goddess. But they were wrong again. 2 years later, Flavia gave birth to quadruplets, 3 girls and a boy. They named them Abundantia, Abundantius, Abundance, and Abunda, meaning abundant. They were shocked and exhausted, but they still loved their children and thanked the goddess. But they were wrong once more. 3 years later, Flavia gave birth to quintuplets, 4 boys and a girl. They named them Prosperous, Prospera, Prosperio, Prosperinus, and Prosperina, meaning prosperous. They were horrified and desperate, but they still loved their children and thanked the goddess. But they were wrong for the last time. 4 years later, Flavia gave birth to sextuplets, 5 girls and a boy. They named them Copia, Copius, Copiosa, Copio, Copina, and kopios, meaning copious. They were terrified and hopeless, but they still loved their children and thanked the goddess. Lucius and Flavia had 21 children in total. They had no more space, no more money, no more time, and no more energy. They could not take care of their farm, their house, or themselves. They could not feed, clothe, or educate their children. They could not sleep, rest, or enjoy their life. They were miserable and cursed. They realized that they had asked too much from the goddess, and that she had given them too much in return. They realized that they had been foolish and greedy, and that she had been cruel and ironic. They realized that they had offended her, and that she had punished them. They decided to go back to the temple and beg the goddess to take back her gift. They gathered their children and made the journey to Praeneste. They arrived at the temple and joined the crowd of pilgrims who came to consult the oracle. They waited patiently for their turn until a priestess approached them and asked them to follow her. She led them to the same dark chamber where the same large wheel was spinning. She told them to ask their question and then spin the wheel. She said that the goddess would answer them through the wheel and that they should accept her will, whatever it might be. Lucius and Flavia looked at each other sadly and then spoke in unison. "O Fortuna, goddess of fertility and luck, we beg you to take back your gift. We have been ungrateful and unhappy, and we have nothing more to endure than this burden. Please hear our prayer and relieve us from this curse." They reached out and spun the wheel with all their strength. The wheel turned faster and faster, making a loud noise. Lucius and Flavia watched anxiously as the wheel slowed down and stopped. They looked at the symbol that faced them and screamed. It was a skull, the sign of death and misfortune. The priestess frowned and said, "I'm sorry. You have received the most unfavorable answer from the goddess. She has refused to take back her gift. She has decided to take away your lives instead. You will die today, and your children will be left alone and orphaned. Curse Fortuna, for she is capricious and merciless." Lucius and Flavia were horrified. They hugged their children and cried. They asked the priestess for mercy and forgiveness, but she said that there was nothing she could do. She said that the goddess's will was final and irrevocable. She said that they should prepare for their fate. They left the temple and walked to the nearby river. They saw a boat waiting for them. They boarded the boat and sailed away. They never returned.